And Russell Wilson's a Denver Bronco. Just out of nowhere. We knew Russell Wilson wanted out. And I'll go back to what I've said for months on Russell Wilson. So I've been consistent on this since about December. If Russell Wilson, after a 12-4 season, in which the Seahawks won the toughest division in professional football, the NFC West, a guy in Russell Wilson who is an MVP candidate for about 2/3 of the season before he kind of fell off in the last 6 games or so. If he is two things, number one, looks pissed sitting next to Commissioner Roger Goodell watching Super Bowl 55 as the Man of the Year winner from that season. If 2 days later he goes on the Dan Patrick Show and Mr. Anti-controversial, right, Russell Wilson, go Hawks after every word that comes out of his mouth, he goes out and says, yeah, I'd like to have, I'd like to have a little say in personnel decisions. I'd like to have a little say in what we run offensively in particular. I would like us to sort of change our offensive identity a little bit. Wouldn't mind it. I don't hate the let Russ cook mantra and way of going about things. Oh, and by the way, offensive line, could you give me a little bit more time to throw? If Russell was mad after that, a 12-4 season, which, yes, they lost their first playoff game, and it was a disappointing finish to the season, but it was still a solid season. If he was mad after that, how's he going to feel going 7-10, finishing last in his division, and missing the playoffs by a lot? And his team is in the top 15 in the NFL draft. How's he going to react to that? And so I believe that Russell Wilson had played his last game in Seattle. I said that a couple months ago. I didn't know Denver was on the table. I thought Philadelphia was an option. I thought teams like, say, the Raiders even. You know I love Derek Carr. Derek Carr is one of my favorite quarterbacks. But you would take Russell Wilson any day of the week over Derek Carr. And ironically, they're going to be playing each other twice a year now in the same division. But like I said on Instagram about 30 minutes after the trade went down, we debate as to who wins a trade. We always do that. Who wins this trade? Like James Harden comes to mind, right? James Harden just traded from the Nets to the Sixers, a month ago. And we're like, who won the trade? Was, the Nets got these good role players, but the Sixers got James Harden. Now, I said it was James Harden. That's another story for another day. But it was a debate. Like, it was a fair debate. That this is not even worth talking about who won the trade. Okay, Seattle, and we saw later in the day they released Bobby Wagner. I'll talk about him later in the show. They're in a rebuild. Okay, as it stands today, the two quarterbacks on their roster are Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Yeah, good luck with that against Trey Lance, Matthew Stafford, and Kyler Murray. Good luck. So Seattle is in a complete rebuild. My guess is Pete Carroll will retire after the season. The Seahawks probably won't fire him just as out of sign of respect, but it'll be a little bit like Tom Coughlin with the Giants there at the end. He'll retire after the season, and the Seahawks will be looking for a new coach. Now, it's possible they could be drafting a quarterback. Obviously, now that Russell's gone, is it Malik Willis? Is it Kenny Pickett? Who knows? They could sure use some help on that offensive line. Seattle got some help in that they got draft picks, right? Because that was what they needed. If you're going to trade Russell Wilson, you need draft picks because they botched the Jamal Adams trade 2 years ago. Asking for first-round picks for a safety. I don't care if Jamal Adams is Ed Reed. You don't give up 2 first-round picks to get a safety. So Seattle's in a rebuild. In the case of the Denver Broncos, however, Denver, get ready for the next 5 to 6 years, at least, of Super Bowl contention, because that's exactly where you're going to be. You just went from a team that I thought next year, on the surface looked like a probably 7-8 win team. I'd probably be more confident in 8 wins. Maybe make a little push for the playoffs, but no one really takes you seriously as a team that could, even if you get in, you're not going very far. They just went from a last-place team to a team that could legit win the AFC West. And that's with no disrespect to Kansas City. I'm not saying the Broncos are going to win the West. But when you look at Denver, they had everything except the quarterback. Now, they gave up Noah Fant. You guys know I really like Noah Fant. I thought he was going to be a piece in place in case they were to get, Aaron Rodgers was the most discussed quarterback, right? Aaron Rodgers, he's going to go to Denver to reunite with his old offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. But when you look at this Broncos roster, deep running game, great offensive line. You got Garrett Bowles up front, excellent player. Their receiving core, I know people saying, oh, Russell left the better receiving core. No, he didn't, okay? Tyler Lockett's really good. I'm not a big DK Metcalf fan. You've got guys like Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton's one of the best one-on-one go get the ball guys in the NFL. Defensively, you've got Patrick Surtain. I loved Patrick Surtain out of a draft last year, and he had a great rookie season. It got overshadowed because Micah Parsons was, the unanimous defensive player of the year, or defensive rookie of the year. Patrick Surtain is an excellent corner and is going to be for the next 7 to 8 years at least. You've got Bradley Chubb rushing the passer up front. You've got Justin Simmons in the secondary. You're set. You are set. You just need that guy. What has been my theme on this show? You can have everything right. Ask the Cleveland Browns, for example. You can have everything set in place and ready to go, and let's go win a Super Bowl. But if you don't have that Super Bowl caliber quarterback, forget about it. You're not contending for any Lombardi trophies. And for an organization like the Denver Broncos, used to winning, obviously they've got 3 Lombardis, 2 from delivered by John Elway. The one delivered, Peyton Manning was the quarterback. No disrespect to Peyton, the defense won that Super Bowl, but they've got 3 championships. They know what it's like to win. They know what it's like to win just as recent as 2015. And since then, they haven't even made the playoffs. Why? Because they've had quarterbacks like Brock Osweiler and Trevor Siemian and Joe Flacco and Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, guys, Bill Parcells called them Jags. Not those specifically, but Bill Parcells calls those kind of quarterbacks Jags. Just a guy. No disrespect to them. They're good players. They're not Russell Wilson. Okay. The Broncos just got a top 5 Super Bowl winning quarterback in his prime. And people are debating today, okay, Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the division. Yes. Okay. You got people out here saying, well, Justin Herbert's better. Listen, love Justin Herbert. Loved him out of Oregon. Said I thought he would be the best rookie or the best quarterback of the 3. Turns out that's probably going to end up being Joe Burrow. Nevertheless, Justin Herbert is phenomenal. That said, he has yet to make the playoffs. And look at Russell Wilson's last few years statistically with a below average offensive line bordering on bad. You heard Russell himself complain about a year ago. His best running back was Chris Carson, and the defense was atrocious. This is the numbers Russell Wilson put up. Let's just go back to 2015. Touchdown passes, 34, 21, 34, 35, 31, 40, and in a season in which he missed 3 games, including the bye week, he threw 25. And even in this season, he only threw 6 picks. Passer ratings from 2015 on, because that's when he developed into a true franchise quarterback. Passer rating on down. 110, 92, 95, 110, 106, 105, 103. Model of consistency. Again, that is with a below average offensive line. That is with the worst roster. In the last 3 years, Seattle's had the worst roster in their division. They've got Russ, Bobby Wagner. I talk about to win a Super Bowl. I talk about this with the Cowboys all the time. This is why I'm not huge on the Cowboys contending, right? To be a contender, you've got to have at least 3 special players. Well, Seattle had 2, Russell, Bobby Wagner, but now both are gone. Now they're in rebuild. But outside of that, defense, awful. Pass rush, couldn't get to the quarterback, right? You look at the secondary, couldn't take the ball away. I heard Greg Olson, who played with the Seahawks for a year in 2020 before he retired to go into broadcasting, and he's done, a great job at Fox. But Greg Olson said, this is not a shot at Pete Carroll, but that offensive system was really outdated. And so Russell now gets to match up, obviously, with a great roster and a young offensive head coach. How have those guys panned out in the last 5 years or so, starting with Sean McVay? Okay, if I do say so myself. And so for the Denver Broncos, congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations also to Russell Wilson, his family, and people say, well, he's in a tough division. He's used to that. He's in the NFC. He was in the NFC West. He had to play Kyler Murray twice a year and Kyle Shanahan, that loaded Niners roster, twice a year, and the Rams twice a year with Sean McVay. He's used to competition. He's not going from the NFC North to the AFC West. This is why I never thought Aaron Rodgers was going to get traded to Denver. You don't go from the worst division of football to the best. So, man, this to me, the biggest and most consequential trade in NFL history was Herschel Walker getting traded by the Dallas Cowboys to the Minnesota Vikings for all those draft picks. Because, yes, Herschel was great in Dallas and did some good things in Minnesota, but that trade launched the Cowboys dynasty because they turned those picks into Hall of Famers. We're talking, Emmitt Smith on down. So, for the Dallas Cowboys, that was the most consequential and influential trade in NFL history. This could jump it if Denver gets a Super Bowl or two. Not sure if they'll get two because that's a tough division. They're a Super Bowl contender without a question. If you still doubt that, look at the Broncos the last few years when they played Kansas City. Yes, they've been blown out a time or two. But there have been games that Denver has pushed Kansas City. You look as recent as Week 18 last year. Like Kansas City had everything to play for. Denver had nothing to play for. They were going to fire their head coach. And if it's not for a Melvin Gordon fumble in the red zone, Denver probably wins that game. They beat Kansas City. Yeah, Russell Wilson to that? Whew. Scary hours in Denver, Colorado. And the fact that we get to watch Patrick Mahomes versus Russell Wilson twice a year. The fact that we get to watch Russell Wilson versus Justin Herbert twice a year, and even to a certain degree, Russell Wilson versus Derek Carr twice a year, get your popcorn ready, as T.O. once said, because it's going to be must-see TV. Also, the Seattle Seahawks host the Denver Broncos this season. That will absolutely be either a Sunday night football game or probably a Monday night football game. That will be must-see TV as well. But congratulations to the Denver Broncos because you have just signed up for 5 or 6 years of Super Bowl contention. Congratulations. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube. Be sure to click that big red subscribe button and go check out the other clips and full shows of Carving It Up Live. Have a blessed day.